Good morning. Yay, this one works better than that one. All right. So we'll get started in about 2 minutes, but I'm going to ask you to turn off your ringer dingers so we don't have to hear, or we don't get to hear all your interesting ringtones. And we do have our videographer back, so we want to make sure we have a good video and audio to share with you. And for those of you that don't know, all of the videotaped seminars are on the website. So you can always go back and re-look at them. And if you didn't get something or didn't write down the notes you wanted, you can go back and review. So as we get settled, I'd say kind of fill in, because I think we're going to have a full house today. And we're missing one of our speakers, so that's why I'm sort of stalling a little bit. Because somebody fell coming up here, and she's down there making sure the paramedics come. But I'll tell you what, we can get started slowly, and if she pops in later, then we hope she does, but we have to just go with the flow, don't we? This is life, going with the flow. So, did everybody have a good 4th of July? Yeah? Good. Good, I did too. I had one of my kids and my son-in-law show up from Ohio for the weekend, so that was really fun. Don't get to see them very often. I'm going to start out by introducing myself, and I always do this because it's so interesting. How many people today are here for the first time? Well, look at that. Okay, groupies, I want to make sure you're nice to the newbies here. Okay, so we're going to do this for their sake because there's a good 25% that are newbies. So you're going to turn to your right. You know the drill, groupies. Turn to your right and say, we're going to learn something new today. I want to make sure that before I introduce myself, I do a shout out to our wonderful education partners, because without them, we could not continue to bring this series to you free of charge. These folks also believe in empowering and informing and educating the community. And so thanks to them, we are still here. We're still meeting at the Lafayette Library and able to continue to do this. So today marks the beginning of our 7th year. So gray hair, wrinkles, now you know why. 7th year, every month, different topic. Now I want to just share with you that you may see a similar topic that you've been to before. But guess what's going to be different? You're going to be different than you were before. You may hear something the first time and some things didn't sink in. You hear it the next time and you actually hear it and it kind of resonates with you. Or we may have a similar topic but different speakers. So everybody always brings something different to the table. So with that in mind, here we go. Shout out to Better Days in-home care, Atria Senior Living. If you're here, stand up and keep standing. Carlton Senior Living, Mutual of Omaha Reverse Mortgage, Dayna Wilson, Keller Williams and Luxury, the Reutlinger Community, Family Matters, Moving and Downsizing and Hauling, Byron Park, the Kensington, CareQuest, Placement Advisors, Clar's Auction Gallery, I think Derek's outside, and Custom Moving and Hauling. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. And they should have some of their materials in the back as well. Just a couple quick announcements. We do have a upcoming bus tour. Who's been on any of the bus tours this year or in the past? Okay, so a handful of people. We have an upcoming bus tour July 21st with the Kensington and Byron Park. So if you haven't signed up for that, please do so because space is limited by the amount of folks that can fit on the bus. And they will wine and dine us, and we'll go on tours and have a nice meal and get to know those communities pretty well, see their models, etc. So that'll be great. I've got a concert coming up on the 15th. So if you like the Beatles, check out the flyers. I think you've got one on your seat, having nothing to do with this seminar series whatsoever. It's just a good time. It's just a fun thing to do, bringing community together. And let's talk about what today's topic is. I'll introduce myself to the newbies. I'm Dayna Wilson. I'm a seniors real estate specialist with Keller Williams Realty and a certified senior housing professional. I was licensed in the state of California as a realtor in 2006, and I soon discovered that my favorite people to work with were boomers, zoomers, and savvy seniors. So that is really what my whole practice is focused on. And out of that came I thought the need to share truth and facts about a lot of different topics. Because we hear things on TV, we hear things from our neighbors, and we're not always getting the right information. And there's so much information out there online, it's almost confusing. So we try to bring you local experts to bring you the kind of the latest, the greatest of what's going on here that can help you make your short and long-term plans. So this is all about kind of aging by design, not default. Living by design, not default. So if you have a plan, then you'll have sort of a roadmap of okay, for now, this is what we're going to do. And maybe down the road, if this happens, this happens, this happens, this is our plans. So that is what brought this topic to light. Aging in place, AKA we're staying put. This is always a very popular topic because I think the vast majority of people want to stay in their homes. You know, it's where we raised our kids. We've got memories. We feel comfortable there. We feel safe there. And it's hard. Change is hard. Moving is a lot of work at whatever age you are. But moving after a certain age is extra a lot of work. You might not have the same energy level. And it's sort of overwhelming to think, well, I could never move. I have 52 years of stuff in my attic and my garage. And what are we going to do with this and this and this? So we're here to talk about aging in place. And I just want to preface this by saying aging in place is not necessarily meaning that you are staying in the home that you've lived in for 40 years, that you raised your kids in. Aging in place might be moving from your tri-level with a pool and 5 bedrooms to a 1-level home. It could be moving to a 1-level townhome. It could be moving to a condo. Could be moving to Rossmore. Aging in place could be meaning a lot of different things. It may not mean staying exactly where you are right now. But we're going to dig into that further today. So I think without further ado, we've got all 5 of our fabulous people up here. Thank you, Debbie, for helping out there. And we're just going to ask them to introduce themselves, share their name, their organization, their role, kind of a short bio so you can get to know them a little bit. And we'll just start here with Kelly.
Okay, good morning. I'm Kelly Miller with J&M Home Care Services, formerly known as Visiting Angels. That's how most people remember us, but in November we switched. And what else can I say? Just, is that it?
Who you are, what you do, how did you get into the business?
So we started 22 years ago in 2001. We had our own family crisis. My husband lost his mother, father, sister, brother, and other sister, all within a few years of each other. And we were living up north trying to raise our family and taking care of our extended family and realized that we needed resources. And so we kind of got into it for personal reasons, and now we try to help folks in the same situation to try and just ease the burden a little bit.
Thank you. Ms. Katie.
Good morning. My name's Katie Cole. I'm with Rob and Even Company Interiors.
Yeah, you can
Pull it forward. Okay. Is that better? My name's Katie Cole. I'm with Rob and Even Company Interiors. We're an interior design firm in Walnut Creek and serving the Bay Area. It's a family business. Robin Eve is my stepmom, and my dad, John Cole, is an architect, and I was in interior design for years before joining the business. So thankfully, it's worked out to have to work with family. Always a risk, but it's been really good. And Robin Eve and I are both certified in something called universal design, which I'll talk a lot about in a minute. And so we provide universal design services and remodels to people so that they can age in place.
Debbie.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Debbie Toth, and I work for an organization called Choice in Aging. It's a nonprofit organization that's been around for 74 years, and our goal is to allow people to age in their setting of choice with the support they need to do so. I got into this business when I was 17 years old. I got a job at the Motion Picture and Television Fund retirement home and fell in love with 82 new grandparents. And long story short, I worked there through high school and college and went off to the great big world. And when 9/11 happened and we were watching those towers come down, I was thinking, if that was me, would I be happy with where I am in my life? And I said, no, I'm missing my older adults. And so I went and found a job working with older adults at Choice in Aging in our adult day healthcare program. And it's been over 21 years, and I'm in love, and I'm never leaving. What's that?
That's awesome. Elaine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elaine Welch. I'm the CEO of Mobility Matters. I retired for a while. I'm a nurse and worked for Kaiser for 25 years, and I retired for a very short time and found out I wasn't ready. So I'm a retirement dropout, and very proud of it. And one of the things I realized is that I really wasn't working for money. I was really working for making change. And so I had the opportunity to get involved in an agency that was basically, too long a story. Anyhow, we switched it over to Mobility Matters, and I'll tell you about our programs that we have. We will never charge for our services as long as I'm alive, and I'm hoping that's going to be a long time. And but anyhow, love what I do. I found out why I'm here. And one of the things that I say in every introduction, I'm going to be 77 next month. I want to be a living example that aging is not an illness. Can we quit thinking of our older people in our community as old and sick? My kids know better than to say that. I used to be a NICU nurse, little newborn babies in my hand that I was fighting for their life every 15 minutes. They were just as sick as my friend who's 112 right now. So anyhow, please keep that motto in your mind.
Thank you, Elaine. Susie.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Susie Pack, and I'm here representing La Miranda Village, which is a membership organization that's based out of a little office here in Lafayette, but we serve seniors anywhere within La Miranda. And I actually started my work back when I was about 5 years old. In kindergarten, I used to go in with our class to do some volunteer work with seniors, and that continued throughout the years, and it continued through college. In fact, one of the first jobs I had in college was to be an activity director at an assisted living community. And fast forward, I went to school. I ended up raising a family. I worked in corporate America for 25 years, but I always, it was very important to me to continue on with community service, whether it's schools or whether it's seniors. And this really came to a head for me when my parents were aging in place in their family home of 45 plus years, yet I and my sisters lived anywhere between 4 and 12 hours away. And so my work with La Miranda Village, which is to help provide programs and resources for anyone over 55, to help really become an integrated part of the community. I know there are many people who were very active in their communities, And I want to connect those folks who would still like to remain involved with that social network, with programs and services. And I want to help provide some of the connections that I wish that my parents had while they were still living. So I'm so happy to see so many of you here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we've got a packed panel of local experts. I don't usually have 5 people at a time, but today we pulled out all the stops. And part of this, we do know that even though most of us intend to age in place, and we'll say about 83%, there are some proactive planners out there that determine they don't want to wait until something happens. They want to be proactive and move before something happens. But I can speak from experience that my 92-year-old mom, I grew up in La Miranda, and she still lives here. She is aging in place, and I've had to learn the hard way how to make this possible for her. And it's not easy. It does take planning. It can be done to an extent. So we're going to talk about getting older and wiser and what successful aging in the right place means. So we're going to start out with the issue of in-home care. And I'm just going to throw this time over to Kelly, and then we're just going to leave the last 15 minutes for questions. So write down your burning questions, and we will get to them at the end, if you would be so kind. So Kelly, as an in-home care and personal assistance provider, share with us what non-medical in-home care or personal assistance services include.
Okay, sure. So I do have brochures on the back, and on the inside cover it lists the services, but basically what we do is what's called activities of daily living. So it's anything that you might normally do, say for someone at home who isn't feeling well. You would assist them with bathing, personal care, meal preparation, medication reminders, transportation to the doctors or running errands, and then basic safety, companionship, and moral support. Some people live alone and don't have anyone to do that, and others live alone and their spouse or their family members work, or maybe they're out of town or ailing themselves. So it's just all the things that help people stay at home, wherever they call home. It can be in a personal residence, it could be assisted living, it could be independent living, it could even be in the hospital bed sitting if someone doesn't want to be in the hospital alone.
Awesome. Okay. And then these next 2 questions are so similar. I'll have you kind of speak about both of them. One of them asks, what's the circumstances someone should be thinking about the need for in-home care? And then what is the time to bring in that care? So it's kind of hand in hand, right?
Okay, so it really depends on the person. A lot of times people call us because there's been a crisis, someone's taken a fall, had a stroke, a diagnosis, an accident, things like that. Other times it's just somebody just doesn't feel like they're strong enough to stay home, or they can't do the things they used to do. But as Dayna said, most people want to stay home. So we try to tell people, I think most people's biggest fear is losing control and losing their independence. But what home care tries to do is actually bring assistance in the home to keep your independence. So you might not want to leave home, but maybe getting to the grocery store is more difficult, or taking a shower, you're afraid of falling. So by having a home care aide come in and help, it actually allows people to stay living independently a little bit longer. And if the home care company is doing it right, you should feel your independence more than ever. You are in charge. Nobody is going to come in and say, this is when you have to eat, this is when you're going to do that. You get to stay in charge of your schedule, in charge of the days that you want the care, what kind of person you want. Some people want someone, I want you right there with me, I want you eating meals with me, and others, I don't want to see you, I want you in the other room doing what you're doing while I'm doing that, and that's okay. The client is the boss. They tell us what they want, what they don't want, when they want the care, and what activities of daily living that they need or don't need. So we try not to push our own agenda. We might make suggestions and say, gosh, a lot of times people say, oh, I can't possibly fill 4 hours. I only need someone to help me with the shower. to which I always say, well, can I give you some suggestions? Would you like someone to help change your linens, do some laundry, go grocery shopping for you, make some meals for you for the week and put them in the freezer? I know I would like that. So there's all sorts of things that we can think of. Take you to the senior center, take you places to the doctor. If a HIPAA form is signed, we can also act as a scribe and relay that information to your family, or just record it so that you can keep track of it as well.
Awesome. And then a free assessment, tell me how that works.
So in our particular company, we do have a free assessment. Some charge, so of course it's always important to ask up front, but the reason for the assessment is we try and go into people's homes just to see what your lifestyle is like. Do you have pets in the home? Are you a smoker? Do you have stairs? We also do a home safety check where, oh gosh, those rugs, you might want to move those rugs. Those could be a fall risk. It also gives us a chance to meet our team, or who's our representative, because most people's fear is the same. Most people are afraid having a stranger in their home, someone's going to hurt them or steal from them. That's the number two, those two things that people. So we want to give the person an opportunity to meet our team, to feel comfortable, to ask questions, to share concerns. And a lot of times the family or the spouse will say, gosh, my mom didn't say this, but she could really use help in this department. And then of course we would ask the person, is it okay if we help organize your refrigerator for you, or whatever the case may be. So it's really, and people ask for care at different times. Sometimes it's following an incident, and sometimes it's short term. Maybe you're having surgery and you just need someone for 3 days post-op just to help you until you get your strength back. And others need us just as a companion because maybe you just need somebody just to share and talk, and others take us all the way to end of life or hospice care.
I find a lot of my clients, and my own mom included, and relatives, you start out maybe after a surgery or some sort of incident, crisis, health issue. And maybe you start with so many hours a day and you kind of get used to the idea. It's like dipping your toe in the water. And then after a while, it's more comfortable to have someone there for longer. In my mom's case, she has live-in care. And maybe we'll talk about that too. But I wanted to ask, because you touched on that, Kelly, is how are in-home caregivers screened? Because that's very important. We want to know that who we're inviting into our homes somebody's checked them out.
Sure. So there's 3 different types of caregivers. There's private caregivers, which tends to be a friend or a family member, a neighbor. There's referral agencies, and it's a company that it's kind of like a Match.com, but with caregivers, where we will send a caregiver, but then you become the employer of record for the caregiver. You do the taxes, the liability, the insurance, those kind of things. And there's what we are considered a home care organization, meaning licensed through the California Department of Social Services. And so for a licensed full service home care company, which I brought up the Home Care Collective, which I'll share, which is all the vetted HCOs in the county, we've had to go through a vetting process. So all of our caregivers are screened through the Department of Justice. They're fingerprinted. We've done a Social Security check, a work authorization check, a DMV driving record check, a drug test, a TB test, personal and professional references. So we do everything we can possibly do within the letter of the law to make sure that anyone that we're sending into your home has passed everything with flying colors. And that there's nothing in their record going back all the way to the age of 18. So you can rest assured that anyone through a HCO, a home care organization, that we're sending you, again, we can't predict the future, but that this person has a clean record in every way.
And I'm going to kind of skip to the question, the difference between home care, home health, hospice, and palliative care, because I think that's important.
So in this Home Care Collective, this is a brochure that we put together for all the local hospitals. And only home care organizations who have been vetted are in this document. So I brought enough for everyone in the back, but this tells the difference between home care and home health if you want to have it. So home care is the non-medical piece. We don't do anything invasive or body cavities or punctured, anything like that. Home health is the medical piece. So if you need wound care or an injection, an IV, enema, feeding tube, anything invasive, that's where home health comes in. Home care can stay with you 24/7. As Dayna says, her mom has live-in care, which is 24/7 care. Home health generally comes in once a week, once a day, and does the medical procedure that's needed, and then they leave. Hospice, generally speaking, it's diagnosed by a doctor, meaning you have 6 months or less to live, and it's mostly just comfort measures, but no more treatment, no heroic measures. Palliative care is also comfort care where someone can still receive medical treatment. Maybe they're going through cancer or have some type of disease that they're trying to manage, primarily the pain level. So a home care company, we work in conjunction with palliative care, home health, and hospice. A lot of times people think when they go on hospice care, they don't need home care anymore. But generally speaking, every hospice company is a little bit different, but primarily they come in and do comfort measures, help with pain meds, pain management. They've got counseling programs, and their active support system for the family members. But it's the home care company that comes in and provides that around-the-clock care, get up in the middle of the night and do all the things that might need to be done.
Awesome. And we're just I've got to stick to our timing today because we've got such a packed panel. So I'm going to skip to Katie, and we may come back to the other questions. But Katie, first question for you is, what the heck is universal design? Who here has heard of universal design? Okay, like 3 people. And the people with Rob and Eve interiors don't count. So what is universal design?
Universal design is a forward-thinking architectural approach to designing homes in a way that makes it the most functional and user-friendly for the most amount of people, regardless of their age, size, or ability, without sacrificing beauty and aesthetics. Actually, I'll go a little further. It's been around for a couple of decades now, but it seems to be gaining a lot of attention right now as part of the cultural conversation around DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's based in a lot of the same principles. Accessibility is inclusion, equitable use is equity, ease of use, and attractiveness. In Europe, they call it design for all, and at my company, we like to call it designing homes for life.
So what are some of the most common challenges that we have in our homes?
Well, Kelly mentioned a few of them, actually. Falls are really the number one concern. So with that in mind, we would first look at stairs and any other elevation changes in and around the home, and how we can help with mobility around that. We want to avoid user errors, so things like burns or shocks. There are, appliances these days that have, lighted controls or easier to use doors, things like that. And then, just ease of use, so making sure that you're not putting yourself in a risky position for falling while you're, trying to reach that top shelf. And mobility, making sure that you can get around your home easily and safely.
And then maybe, Katie, share with the audience some easy things people can do to successfully age in place, maybe kind of the easy, quicker ones that would come to mind first.
Yeah, we actually call those the quick fixes. So there are some things you can do without a major remodel. Again, preventing falls would be the first concern. So grab bars are going to be your friends. And these days, they don't have to look institutional. There's a lot of them out there that come in very beautiful finishes that can be integrated with the rest of your interior design. Kelly again mentioned removing throw rugs, unsecured rugs, unnecessary elevation changes in the house. For burns, whether it be from water, you can add anti-scald faucets pretty easily. Making things easy to reach, there are pull-down shelf units that you can put in those top cabinets that make it a lot easier to reach. And then again, increasing mobility, so adding ramps where necessary. Stair lifts can be done, with a specialist installer, and there's also vertical lifts, which are not quite an elevator, but serve the same purpose. They can be installed in the corner of a room with minimal construction by a specialist installer. So you don't necessarily need to have stacked closets or some other kind of void from floor to floor that you can put an elevator shaft in.
That's awesome. So what happens when someone's home just still isn't going to work for them long term? Like you've tried the quick fixes and it's still just not cutting it.
Yeah, so sometimes that is the case, and again, stairs would be the number one concern. Something you can do if you have a two-story home, if you've got, without a remodel, is if you've got a downstairs bedroom and bath, relocating to that as your primary bedroom will be a quick and easy thing to do. But if not, again, stair lifts and elevators. You can also put in ramps for elevation changes throughout the home in a way that is still attractive. Bathrooms, your bathroom is also going to be a huge determinant on whether you're able to stay in your home long term or not. I've got a statistic here that I think is pretty poignant from St. Luke's Health. Almost 80% of falls in the home occur in the bathroom. So again, falls are the major concern. 80% of those happen in the bathroom. And according to the CDC, more than 200,000 seniors are seen in ERs each year for bathroom-related injuries. So one of the first things that we look at during a remodel of a bathroom is a zero-barrier shower, which is, maybe you've heard of a curbless shower. It means just that the floor of the bathroom extends right on through into the shower stall. So there's no curb or anything you've got to step over. We also, of course, add a grab bar right there at that transition in case people are a little unstable there, as well as grab bars in other parts of the shower. Let's see. We also like to put benches inside the shower for people who have a little less strength. And again, we can put a grab bar right next to that with a handheld shower head on that, so you can wash yourself. Let's see. We also, on those benches, we slope the bases so that it makes it easier for people to get their feet underneath them if they have a little trouble standing. We always use, or we try to use wall-hung toilets, which allow you to customize the height, the seat height. So again, if people have trouble going from seated to standing, even an inch or two higher can make a difference for those people. And then if you do find that you are in a wheelchair at any point, you're going to need some knee space underneath the sink. One attractive way to do this is with floating vanity. I think you guys have all seen those before. That makes it quite easy. But if you need more storage than that, with like a traditional vanity cabinet, one nice way to do that is with a false front underneath the sink. So there's cabinet doors, but but you open those up and there's either recess storage or pull-out storage underneath that so that you can roll right up to the sink. And then kitchen's, of course, the second most dangerous place in the home after the bathroom. We just put a really nice oven into a client's home that had French doors. And when you pull on one side, both doors open. So if you've got a pan in one hand, that makes it really easy to get in and out. And because you're not leaning over a big hot oven door to get to it, the chances of burning and injury are reduced there as well.
That's awesome. And then, typical time for a quick modification or a massive remodel. What are we looking at?
It really depends. Things like lever door handles can be done, however quickly you can do that. With a remodel, I would expect 3 to 6 or 8 months, depending on the complexity of the job and the permits, contractor schedules.
I will say, this is just a plug for a local business. I mean, they don't know I'm doing this, but you can get grab bars on the walls. You can get poles that go floor to ceiling, or they just go on the floor that people can grab onto in various places. We found those to be helpful. You can rent some of these things, or you can buy them. And we've used All Star Medical in Walnut Creek, and they are amazing. And if they don't have it, they'll find it. And sometimes they'll even find used ones for you. So I just love them. Anyway, a little free plug there.
Yeah, one of the ways that we got into this was my stepmom and boss, Robin Eve Cole. She was hit by a car while crossing the street, and both of her legs were broken. She lives on the second floor and has another floor up to her bedroom from there. So suddenly she found herself in the position of her house just didn't work for her anymore. But one of the things that she was able to do was have a stair lift installed just to get to the front door, and then that was removed after she was done with it. But there are things that you can rent or install temporarily.
Awesome. And I've seen some of their work, and it's amazing. You would never know that it's universal design being used. It just looks like a gorgeous interior design space. So I'm going to jump now onto the village, because that's yet another support, if you will, as you're living at home. And so, Susie, what is the village? And is it like a physical place or what?
Sure. So although we do have a small office that is housed at LOPC, Lafayette Orinda Presbyterian Church, the concept of a village is it's not a place where people live. There aren't a lot of classrooms. It's actually a virtual network in a lot of respects. And what that means is it's a place where we try and gather as many resources to serve seniors that are available to seniors, whether it's social activities, whether it's exercise classes, whether it's help for transportation, grocery shopping. So that the village, we try and we work with a lot of providers like the ones sitting up here with me today to help when our members call and need help with in-home care, or when our members call and want to talk to somebody about installing. So we're there as sort of some people call it sort of like a concierge service.
Mm-hmm. And how does the village help us age in place?
By providing those resources, a resource guide, in addition to social activities, volunteer opportunities for our members, and educational opportunities, it makes the community around our seniors more accessible. We are always learning about new opportunities, new things that already exist, and there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. But we like to share as much information with our members as possible through a weekly newsletter that we put out.
Nice. Okay. So how do we know when it's time to get a little help?
I would say that a little help is first of all, it's very subjective. And what we like to do is try and engage our members before they need a little help. We want to be a social gathering place for seniors in our community that may be retired. They have a lot to bring and want to be involved, but they no longer go to an office every day. They no longer have kids in school. Maybe they live far from their families. So we'd like to create a social network, a social opportunity, and we also serve a need for folks that need services from our volunteers. And what that looks like is we provide grocery shopping services for seniors who may not want to leave the house or are able to leave the house on their own. So they will call us and they'll say, I need to go to Safeway this week. And we will match them with a volunteer who has been screened, who will call them and take their grocery list over the telephone, go shopping for them, and deliver it to their door. And in some cases, we'll help them unpack and put away. And the nice thing about that is we are providing, I think, the physical service of helping grocery shop for someone who might not be as mobile as they used to be, but also that interaction with another person that they may not meet normally.
So a lot of us here today are from the La Miranda area, but not all of us. So are there other villages elsewhere in our neck of the woods, in Contra Costa, for instance?
There are, and just as a frame of reference, the Village Network was established back in Massachusetts, back in, I think, 1999, 2000-ish. So there are about 260, 270 villages all across the country. So here in the Bay Area, La Miranda Village, we have been around for about, I think, 7 or 8 years. There is a village, Clayton Valley Village, that is very active. There is one in Berkeley, the Ashby Village, and there are probably 6 or 7 that all share the same administrative office in Marin.
I was on the membership committee trying to get Walnut Creek off the ground, and it didn't fly, and we need that too.
We do. There was a Walnut Creek Village, and I think the important thing is because it's a nonprofit with either little or no paid staff, that it really takes volunteers and it takes succession planning. So we are always actively seeking volunteers who will help us do some of these things that are really vital and important to our community, and that will help keep this village, all villages, in business.
And I think there used to be a social membership level and then a full membership level. Is that still the case?
That is not the case. We have condensed our membership structure. It was a little confusing, and we've also actually significantly reduced the cost of memberships. And just for more information, the annual cost for an individual to join is $360 a year, and a household, either spouses or partners that live in the same household, is $600 a year. And we do offer many supported memberships. We received grants from the City of Lafayette, for example, to help cover most of the cost of that if you qualify. We've also received grants to help Moraga residents as well. And our village, our organization itself, will not turn anyone away if cost is an issue. So if you know anybody who's interested in joining and $360 is not in their budget, I would still call our office and we will find a way to help them join.
I mean, this is almost sort of like, when you went to church and you had parishes, right? And you were in parish number 3, and people would call you every once in a while and check in on you and see if you needed anything. I mean, I think this is a similar situation, right? It's like neighbor helping neighbor, but it's a little bit more formalized. That's how I look at it, in a way. So do you ever hear from adult children that maybe even live out of area calling you saying, gosh, I think my folks might need a little extra support?
Yes, I hear from grandchildren, I hear from children, I hear from nieces and nephews. And we have a program, a check-in call program, also staffed by our volunteers. So if there are members who may not leave the house for whatever reason, but they or their families think it would be a great opportunity or great service to have someone call and check in on them or even come by and visit. We have dedicated volunteers who will gladly perform that service. And I think we also have to remember that volunteers get a lot out of serving others. It's not just a one-way thing. So it's developed into a lot of great relationships that have sustained over years.
Awesome. Awesome. And then I think my last question would be, what does it mean to be a member? What activities are offered?
We offer a whole bunch of great activities. In fact, in this very room next week, we are hosting a sing-along. And this is a concept that we tried out for a couple months. And we've had one in June at LOPC. We had last month at Lomarinda Village, where we have a volunteer musician come in with a songbook and play music. And everybody has a songbook. And these are songs that I promise you will recognize most, if not all of them. And people have said, I can't sing, I sound terrible. And I say, just come and mouth the words and no one will know. And we have great refreshments, and it's really nice just to, and live music is really, it does something for your soul, so.
You give some really good classes online, too.
We do. We do have we have a weekly talk where we bring in different experts on books or, things happening in science. We have chair yoga that's either in person or sometimes online. We have a men's group. We have a happy hour monthly where we'll gather at a local restaurant and a sponsor will cover the appetizers or the food. And then if you want to, you don't have to, but if you'd like to purchase a drink, you can, not required. Water is just fine. So we want to make ourselves accessible, and we want to partner with different businesses and different agencies to bring these services and programs to seniors that they might not know about otherwise.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to transition to transportation. Say that five times. Transition to transportation. Sometimes people find themselves unable to drive at some point, either temporarily or permanently, right? So to get around, they need some alternative options, and that's where companies like Mobility Matters and others come into play. And what I love about Elaine, well, I love so many things about her, but she not only can talk about Mobility Matters, but the other types of transportation we have locally as well. So, Elaine, you operate a specifically not-for-profit transportation service available to our area seniors and veterans. So describe your program for us, if you would, kind of including who you serve overall and what types of transportation is available.
Thank you. We basically have 3 services at Mobility Matters. 2 of them are volunteer driver programs, and I have left brochures for them on the back table. The red, white, and blue one is for our Rise for Veterans, who are disabled veterans who can still get out with some assistance, but not drive themselves or take public trans. And then we have our original program, which is Rise for Seniors, for anyone living in Contra, Costa County, age 60 or older, trying to age in their own home, but have lost their ability to get around. In our society, you all know this, mobility equals independence. And one of the hardest things, I have seen people literally mourn over having to lose their driver's license or having their kids take their car away. There goes the will. But anyhow, and we counsel people about all that. But in our Rise for Veterans program, we started just a few years ago because we had a lot of requests from veterans who were younger than the age of our seniors. This is 60 to, we have about 12 people over 100 years of age living at home, doing very nicely. And then we start bringing on veterans. And our veterans, our average age is still about 75, 85, but we have a few younger ones and who just can't get where they need to go. So we help them as well. And we also brought in service animals at the time for both groups. The way they hook up to this is, a few years ago, and more than a few, in 2004, I started doing research. I was very frustrated hearing how someone would say to me, my client can't get to so-and-so, or how do they get a shot? They're homebound, or they have Meals on Wheels, but they want to go back to Trader Joe's once in a while. How do they have more of a life? So I naively thought, well, in a county with all the resources here, I'll find everything. So I went out for a few months and rode on different things. In the back, I don't have the time in the panel today to go over this in any detail, but in the back you'll see a pyramid. This is just a pictorial of what I found out. If you're a senior in Contra Costa County, grab one of these. It starts all the way at the top with drive self, When does the DMV cut off your driver's license? At what age? Good, a very smart audience. They don't. Now, I don't know that that's always a wise thing, but because I'm a geriatric nurse, I work with a lot of older people, and even though aging is not an illness, as we get older, we get slower. Our eye-hand coordination changes. A lot of things happen that make us not necessarily strong enough to do this on our own, but they can do that. Once that goes away, they either self-decide or someone decides for them. They usually look for someone else to take them. Often, this is as far as my mom got. Our family members took time off from work to take her where she needed to go. If you have no family or nobody wants to do it, you start looking at taxis and TNCs. Do you know what TNCs are? Uber, Lyft, those kind of companies. When I first did my research, they weren't on here. I added them to the taxi column because they do pick up anyone, seniors, and take you where you need to go. The big difference with taxis and TNCs, you have no one taking you door through door. So you better be able to get off at the curb and negotiate from there, your ability to walk. And there are some new things they're looking at with TNCs about all kinds of accessible, but they haven't really hit us here in Contra Costa. The public bus and BART. I went out took buses, and I hadn't taken them since I was in college, and I thought, boy, these are nice. They're cleaner. There's a whole bunch of good things about them, but I saw things that were nightmares to me, and I'm not putting the bus company down. Bus drivers have a schedule. They have to get where they're going. If you are not at the bus station, regardless of your age, and ready to go when they are there, there's a very short wait. They get everybody else ticked off on the bus if you make everybody wait. And we seniors tend to be a little slower. So keep that in mind. And you also have to keep in mind you've got to be able to get to a bus stop. That is not a provision of bus. So if you can get to a bus stop and get off at a bus stop and then negotiate where you need to go, you're okay. I'm not even going to do BART. BART is for a lot of things, but you can just take what you've got with buses, multiply it 1,000 times over for an older person, unless they're working in the city or going to medical care there. It is a problem for most seniors. Paratransit. The Americans with Disabilities Act came out, it was in the late 90s, and there's a big myth in it. It says in some line in there, if you can't take the regular bus, you can take paratransit. Well, that is true for certain individuals, but there's an awful lot who qualify for paratransit who cannot take it because they can't be let off at a curb. They need door-through-door assistance. So I found my biggest problem with paratransit. It's great for people taking wheelchairs because they can secure them. It's great for people who don't need a lot of assistance once they get off. Then we had community-operated vans. These are all over the place, different vans, La Miranda Spirit. There's different ones where communities will operate vans. They have specific rules about who can use them. They're not for everybody, but they are pretty nice if you live in that community. And San Ramon has, Concord just started one, Pleasant Hill, and your own La Miranda here. So those are great for people who live in that area and can sign up for short trips. Friendly visitor programs. When I did my research, Caring Hands was over at John Muir. I don't know how many of you have been around a long time. I admired them so much. Not only did they take seniors where they needed to go at no charge, but they did a friendly visit every week and got to know the person. I went over to visit with them and they said, no, don't send me the ones you're talking about unless they need a friendly visitor. We are about relationships. Rides are secondary. They later on, just before they went out of business, started a rides program that was strictly for the rides. But it left me with the last pink piece. We added this at my agency. It's volunteer driver programs. We are the only volunteer driver programs in all of Contra Costa County, every community, that will give you, if you meet our criteria in these booklets, I don't have time to go over it, a free door-through-door escorted ride. Okay, and in addition to that, well, we have set up also, and I just ran out of the booklets I found out Friday, but I will get them for you and have them available. We have these booklets called Way to Go Contra Costa, and you opened up, they're online too, but you opened up and you go, oh, I'm going to be living in Antioch. when I retire. You open up Antioch, it will show you how to contact all accessible transportation in Antioch. What's there? Don't bother to look on Bethel Island. There ain't nothing except us. I mean, you got to really pay attention if you are going to move or if you're just planning on aging in place right where you are. Find out what's there. And then if you're having trouble with that, going through the booklet or online, you can call our toll-free number. We'll walk you through it, and we'll try to match you to the right provider for your needs. It's very individualized. One size does not fit all, unlike what the ADA was trying to tell us.
So Elaine, not everyone, though, will meet your criteria to use your services. So maybe talk about that real briefly, and then we're going to turn it over to Debbie.
I'm sorry, what you said they don't all meet? No.
Right.
There's very specific criteria for each one of these lines. So this is why we have a transportation information referral helpline that we run. You call in there, we match you to a provider. We will find a provider for you, and I hate to say it, there are gaps in services where we cannot match you, but typically we can.
And wheelchair? Do you take
Wheelchairs, when we first started, I was not able to do wheelchairs. We have since been blessed with a van, going to get another one, with a ramp and a special driver who knows how to secure and take someone in a wheelchair. This doesn't mean we're trying to take everybody off paratransit. This is a person who's a wheelchair user who needs door-through-door assistance, and that's what's unique about our program.
Yeah. And we're looking to use that for my own mother. However, her caregiver can't ride with, so we still have to follow in our own car, but it's a great answer because we have paid up to $310 for a couple hours with a van for my mom. That's a lot of money.
Could I throw in one more thing real quick?
Yeah.
One of the things that's really important as you're planning your mobility and transportation, figure out what you're going to do when there's a crisis. We have rolling blackouts. We have earthquakes. We had floods last year. We have all kinds of things happening in our community that you may need to get out of your house. It's not just for a scheduled ride. So we now have put in place, we're trying to do this throughout the community, where we help people set up emergency plan for you. This would be for Elaine Welch. All the things I need to know in an earthquake or a grab bag or what do I need to know? What happens when I hear sirens? We give all of our clients a vial of life. This has, you put this on you fill it out, put it on your fridge. An ambulance comes to get you. They often now in Contra Costa County, they'll go to your fridge and look for what medications are you on, who are your doctors, what are your diagnoses. And the last thing, we were able to find some weather radios, very inexpensive. These are charged by the sun. They're solar. They could even be used to charge your phone. When the blackout happened the other day, our clients who had these could be in contact with what's going on. So nothing's worse than hearing that alarm. Evacuation, am I in the evacuation area? So just wanted to tell you, as you're planning, plan for emergencies as well as routine. Thank you.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you. Okay. And then, and by the way, before we jump and finish with Debbie, as always, all of you will be getting an email saying thank you for attending, and you will get all of their information, their contact information, their websites, their phone numbers. So don't panic if you don't know how to get hold of them. We're going to make sure you do. And then, of course, as you're filling out your evaluations, leave those on your seat. Those are very important to us to know how we're doing. And if you want to throw out any topics you want to hear about for next year, write those down as well. If we're going to keep going, might as well continue to bring information that you want and need that is going to be helpful to you as you create your short and long-term game plans, right? So Debbie is just a wealth of knowledge as well as all these other ladies. And we're just going to ask her right off the bat, what is choice in aging?
Thank you for asking. People often ask me, is there a choice? And I say, it beats the alternative. So choice in aging is essentially the choice in how you age. So you don't have to age in an institution. And our programs and services, we've been around for 74 years. We're based in Pleasant Hill. We serve Contra, Costa, Napa, Solano, and Sacramento counties with a variety of different services, all geared toward keeping people living in their setting of choice with the support they need to do. So we have adult day health care, we have complex case management, we have transition. I'm saying all these things, I promise you I'm going to talk about them. You don't have to know what they are. We do accessible transportation, we do caregiver support, and we also do a lot of federal, state, regional, and local advocacy around legislation and budget because it costs money to age. And it costs more money to institutionalize people. However, our current de facto long-term care system is an institutionally biased poverty pipeline. We spend everything we have to get care, to fix our home, to get where we need to go, and to get support. And then we end up with no money, and we end up in an institution, and it's the last place we want to be, but it's where we spend the most money as taxpayers to keep people living. So Choice in Aging, our programs, our services are addressed to bust this paradigm.
And you keep saying institution. What are you referring to?
I'm talking about a skilled nursing facility. I apologize. I should say skilled nursing facility. I got reprimanded, rightfully so, and this is a good lesson, and we can all continue to learn no matter how old we get. Because in my mind, institution is a bad place to be. Some people have to live there, so we should call it a skilled nursing facility because I don't want to call their home an institution, so thank you for catching me.
I was just wondering. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the difference between a day program and a health model.
Great question. So adult day healthcare versus adult daycare, and by the way, I hate the terminology daycare. This is a licensing designation. So adult day health care, if in my dream it would be a health day program or something along those lines, maybe a club. But that model takes the skilled nursing facility staffing and it combines it with the concept of a senior center. So people who might need the support that you get at a skilled nursing facility, a medical director, pharmacy consult, psych consult, nursing, physical occupational speech therapy, registered dietitian, social worker, registered nurse, all of that staff exist in an adult day healthcare program, but they're secondary to the community and the activities. So folks come in for a day. These are people who cannot navigate a senior center independently any longer. They might need help going to the bathroom. They might need help with medication administration. They might need help with eating. They might need help with engaging in activities. They may have Parkinson's. They may have Alzheimer's. They may have multiple chronic conditions. But they come in, they have community, they have activities. We can have pet therapy. We can have music therapy. We can have art therapy. We can do seated exercise. We can do all kinds of things, current events classes. So just like a senior center, but with that support and the medical background to help people continue to be able to age in place. A social day model does not have the medical staffing. So like Kelly was saying, you know, home care is similar too. You have home health, and that's a nurse or that's a physical therapist. It's somebody coming into your home for that specific medical need. But the home care that works with activities of daily living, supporting people living, that's the same in this. So the adult day healthcare model has that medical staffing. The adult day model, it's just supervised activities. So there's somebody supporting people with their activities. It's typically for people who have Alzheimer's or a different kind of dementia, who just need to be in a safe environment with staff there to support them and lead in group activities. So it's something that ultimately allows somebody to continue living at home and gives their caregivers a break. Their caregivers can go grocery shopping. Their caregivers can go get a Long Island iced tea. Their caregivers can go to work. Their caregivers can do nothing and just know that their loved one is in a place where they're engaging, where they have friends, where they have community, and where they're being well cared for. So they get a respite, they get a break. Those are the two different models.
Oh, okay. So there's a few other things that I'm going to ask you to touch on, and I'm just going to have you go down that list that we wrote together.
Okay.
Starting with ongoing care management and kind of working your way down those bullet points.
Okie dokie. So care management, I want you to think about it as a navigator. So people often say, what is care management? And hospitals and health systems have care management, but their care management is specifically within their medical model. It is not navigating the world. So think about having a partner with you to navigate your life, because we gained 3 decades of life expectancy in the last century, and we've done nothing to plan for it. So none of us know about mobility, well, we all know about mobility matters now, but how many of us knew before this meeting, right? How many of us knew the difference between home and home health care and home care agencies? How many knew about universal design? Like, you're learning this in this room because this woman brought us together to teach you, but there is no system to learn how it works. And guess what? It's different in Solano County than it is in Alameda County, than it is in San Francisco. It's different everywhere because our system is broken and wasn't planned and wasn't built. So care management is your partner in navigating that. Care management looks at, what do you want? I mean, ultimately, you're all here because you want to age in place. So how do we do that? We look at nutrition. We look at fall management. We look at transportation. We look at what kinds of foods we're consuming. We look at our medication and our medication management. I can't tell you how many times we've gone into somebody's home and there is medication in 4 different places in the house. There's medications on the bedside, there's medications in the medicine cabinet, there's medicine underneath the bed, and there's some medicine in the kitchen. Which one are you taking? When are you taking it? What was the expiration date? Did you get reassessed after you got discharged from the hospital? Did they give you back your medications you were on before, or did you switch to a new medication? Like, all of these things. So medication, transportation. Also look at, do you want to engage? Like, what happens when you fall and you break a hip and you can no longer go up and down the steps to get in and out of your home to get to church or the synagogue or the mausoleum, wherever it is that you go, or to go see your grandkids? So all of these things, including also medication, specialists, doctors, friends, all the things that encompass a person's life. And the care manager helps you access all of those things and is your partner in the journey, helping you find all of the things that are going to help you continue living independently. There are for-profit agencies that provide it. There are nonprofit agencies that provide it. Medi-Cal provides it. And the health plan now, Contra Costa Health Services now provides that if you are on Medi-Cal. And if you're not on Medi-Cal, you can see if you're eligible, because more people now are eligible for Medi-Cal as the asset test goes away. So now the asset test went from 6,000 to 133,000, I think, and then next year it's going to go away. So many more people will be eligible for Medi-Cal in the long-term
That's huge.
care. Yeah, it is huge. Okay, and caregiver, oh, let's see, where were we? Home health agencies you went over. Caregiver support groups, it's free, and it's the best thing you can do if you are a caregiver. Get in a caregiver support group. There are a multitude of caregiver support groups. The Alzheimer's Association, Family Caregiver Alliance, Choice in Aging, lots of us provide caregiver support groups all over the county and online. It's free. It is the most important way that you will learn that you are not alone, because caregiving can be incredibly isolating. And so many times when we become caregivers, our health conditions deteriorate faster than our loved ones, and we will die before them and not be there to care for them. So I just want to say the caregiver support groups are when you get on an airplane and the flight attendants at the front of the plane and you're trying not to look at them because you don't want to be responsible for knowing all the things, and they say, if the cabin pressure drops, an oxygen mask will come out, put yours on first and then on your husband. All right, some people were paying attention. Then on your children. So, but the idea is, if you are not okay to take care of yourself, you're not going to be okay to take care of your loved one. And the caregiver support groups give you community. They create connections with other people. You learn from them and their experiences, because each caregiving experience is unique. But it creates a community of love and support for you. So I can't stress strongly enough how important it is. What is the Area Agency on Aging? It is not, they call it the AAA. What is it not? It is not the Automobile Association of America. It is the Area Agency on Aging. So back in the day, the federal government passed the Older Americans Act. That Older Americans Act has funding that goes to every state. And the way that California distributes that federal funding to older adults is through a local area agency on aging. There are 33 areas designated with area agencies on aging throughout the state of California. Contra Costa happens to be the same as its county. Napa and Solano are combined into one, just to give you an example. But what does it do? It distributes this funding, but first, they have to assess the area. What is in our area? We have a volunteer transportation program, but is it big enough? Does it have enough funding? We have Meals on Wheels. Do they need additional support? We have an ombuds who represents all the people who live in skilled nursing and licensed assisted living facilities and boarding care homes. Do they need extra support? So it looks at what our lay of the land is. It puts together a plan. Every 4 years there is a plan. And by the way, Lafayette has the best pro-planning and thinking around aging. So I just want to congratulate Lafayette because it's a rare city in that way. But, so they put together the plan, and then they give out grant money to nonprofit organizations to fill the gaps. But they're very constrained in what they can do. So it can't fill all the gaps. You can fill them within what the categories are from the federal government in the Older Americans Act. So it's a boost. The most important thing you can know about the Area Agency on Aging, because none of that matters to you today, what matters to you is 800-510-2020. If you're going to commit anything to memory today, 800-510-2020. From anywhere in Contra Costa County, you can call that number and you will be connected to information and assistance. Information and assistance will be answered by a social worker who can help you navigate, who can tell you, this is a home care agency that you can go to. This is where you can get universal design in your home. This is a great village that you might want to belong to, and here's how you get around if paratransit sucks. I did say that, I'm sorry. But so 800-510-2020, information and assistance, they can help you navigate all that. They can also help you figure out if you're eligible for reduced PG&E, if you have a need for a telephone that has greater volume controls on it for free. There's all kinds of things that they're going to be able to help you get connected to. Medi-Cal support, I think I kind of already covered that. Medi-Cal is a long-term care payer. Medicare is not. Medicare pays for health care. Medicare pays for episodic care. They do not pay for long-term care. If you go into a skilled nursing facility and you're there longer than 2 months, you go paying out of your pocket because Medicare is not going to pay past that second month. Medi-Cal, if you qualify, will pay for that. Medi-Cal, if you qualify, will pay for adult day health care. Medi-Cal, if you qualify, will pay for complex case management, which is that care management that I talked about, but it's a medical. It's got social worker and a nurse connected to it. So there's a whole variety of services that you will avail yourselves of if you can qualify for Medi-Cal. You can call 800-510-2020 and ask if you qualify. They can connect you to the county's Medi-Cal eligibility department. Yeah, an ombudsman.
I think so what do you want to talk about? Ombudsman,
plan.
or do you want to talk the master plan?
Well, I referenced the ombudsman
Okay.
just as representing people
Okay.
who live in those licensed either skilled nursing facilities or assisted living or boarding care, and they're an advocate for the people living in them to make sure that their rights are met. In Contra Costa County, it's called Empowered Aging, and they're a fantastic organization. We fortunately have a master plan because of the things that I mentioned in terms of our broken system and our institutionally biased poverty pipeline and lack of planning for 3 decades of life expectancy. We have what's called a master plan for aging. The governor, by executive order in 2019, demanded a master plan for aging. It was created. There were 35 of us gathered from around the state who are experts in different parts of aging, and we created an 867 recommendation master plan for aging, which was then taken by the cabinet level work group and really narrowed down to, I think it was ultimately 143 recommendations that fell into 5 bold goals. And what is kind of cool about the master plan for aging is that everything up here that you heard today is represented in a goal within the master plan for aging. AB 40 is transportation legislation being carried by Assemblymember Wicks, which we will start advocating for in October. If any of you are interested in that, you can contact me. But the master plan for aging serves as a policy framework for doing things around aging, like AB 40, which is accessible transportation. But it also has attracted legislation. I will just tell you, I've been doing this at Choice and Aging for 21 years. There has been more legislation around aging passed in the last 2 years since the release of the master plan than my entire life. So it really serves as a magnet. It's something that we can do locally. Elaine and I serve together on our local impact committee that is putting together the master plan. We advocated together to get funding from a 1/2-cent sales tax in Contra Costa County to pay for master plan for aging activities. We both wrote grants and got funding for a master plan for aging activities. So it's a policy, and the ultimate goal of the master plan for aging is to allow people to live in their setting of choice with the support they need to do so. Have you heard me say that before today? So it's super, super important, the master plan for aging, and I just want to say it includes things, so you've heard me and you've heard everybody talk about those things, but digital divide is included, emergency disaster planning, which Elaine touched on, affording aging, disaster planning, digital divide, workforce reimagined, caregiving workforce, intergenerational opportunities, like all kinds of stuff is in there, and it's really fabulous. And you can go to mpa.aging.ca.gov to see the master plan for aging and all the different parts and pieces of it. You can sign up for their monthly emails, and you can go on webinars and you can learn about it. You can plug in, you can advocate, you can become a part of shaping it locally here in Contra Costa.
And Debbie, when we send me, if you guys have any website links like that one, send those to me via email, and we will attach those to the email you're all going to get.
And I'm also going to give...
Because I know you're going, well, wait, what was that? WW, what?
800-510-2020.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you need to come
510-2020. Okay. Now, I'm going to transition to questions. Before we do, I'm going to ask Allison to grab the basket of raffle tickets. Does anybody here not get a raffle ticket? Raise your hand. Everyone have a raffle ticket? Raise it high, and Allison will come by and get you a raffle ticket. What, Kim? Oh, well, bring them out. Bring them out. We got extra raffle tickets. Okay, so we're going to do your questions now while we hand out some extra raffle prizes. So who has got a question for these amazing panelists? Anyone? All right.
Hi, and thank you all. Very interesting and familiar with some of the things that you were saying. But one thing I have a problem with is I'm trying to sell my house so that I can go into something smaller, but I still like to live nice. And everything that seems to be available to buy for seniors, living in community, is so expensive, between $5,000 and $8,000, I hear now, a month. And on top of it, they want 80% of your house money in their bank, and then you give it back when somebody passes away, you give it as inheritance. But what am I going to live on? This is my question. So is everything so expensive, or is there anything available to move into a lesser living expense? Thank you.
I could answer. Just call me. Yes, there are some low-income senior communities. It sounds like you are talking about a life plan or continuing care retirement community.
Yes.
Completely different than a month-to-month. So we could talk about it if you want. John.
So would the panelists please tell us what would change in your plan if the client has dementia?
Anybody want to take that?
What is the...
In what plan? Plan to live in your home? Okay.
So if somebody has Alzheimer's disease, number one, contact the Alzheimer's Association. We have a fabulous chapter right here in Lafayette. They will come into the home, they will assess the situation, they will make recommendations about estate planning, about having a life plan, about what kinds of services and supports, from caregiver support groups to adult day programs to home care agencies. They will help you put together a plan. It is complicated, it's complex, it's difficult, and you need support. So I will strongly recommend contacting the Alzheimer's Association.
Kelly, do you want to add to that?
No, I was just going to say, in terms of home care, if you were looking for care in the home, I would ask the company that you called. We would only send a caregiver into the home who's trained in Alzheimer's and dementia. There are certainly ways of helping someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, and you have to be trained. So I think for any of us, I would say always make sure that you tell someone, so that we can make sure that whoever we send knows how to care for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, because that's the only way we're going to help the family as well, is if they feel confident that we know what, that we're able to help them properly.
And again, I'm going to ask you, on your evaluation sheets, make a check mark on a consultation. And if you want to say who you want a consultation with, let us know, and we will get you that information. And I will ask again, we get some evaluations saying, please call us, but there's no name, there's no phone number, and there's no email. So sometimes our crystal balls are a little fuzzy, so help us out with letting us know who you are and how we can get a hold of you and what we can do to help, okay? So, all right, anyone else on this side? Nope, okay.
She had her hand raised.
Kelly, what are the charges?
Good question.
What are the challenges for a home?
Charges.
Oh, charges.
What does it cost in general in this area for
Yeah,
home
I'm
care?
glad you asked, because I made myself a note that I didn't touch that. It varies. So there is hourly care, which I would say generally in Contra Costa County, the range is about $38 to $42 an hour. Primarily, it's private pay. However, that is changing. Before I explain that, so long-term care insurance, anyone who has long-term care insurance, that covers our services. There are veterans benefits. If anyone is a veteran, again, you would need to qualify, but the veteran and or their spouse can qualify for that. And currently, we have just contracted with a major health plan, which I can't share yet, but I think COVID showed the medical community that even though home care is non-medical, when we saw the news of people who were isolated at home, didn't have the ability to get food or medicine, anything like that, so the health community has now decided to try to look into caring for their members and paying for home care. Medicare Advantage plans have that, but the private healthcare system, and I don't want to get people too excited because it's not there yet, but we are in the process with the health systems. So right now it's kind of tabled, but we're getting closer. Again, that varies from company to company. Primarily, it's a 4-hour minimum. For instance, our minimum is 1 day for 4 hours, but that can go all the way up to 24/7 care. I think Dayna mentioned her mom has 24/7 live-in care. So I would definitely ask whatever company that you call, but the shortest amount of time I've heard was 4 hours. And the reason being, our caregivers are looking for full-time work. It's very hard to piecemeal an hour or 2 hours. So you can do 2 4-hour shifts or 1 8-hour shift or beyond.
And I'm going to jump in too, and I'm sure a lot of you here in the room have had experience using in-home care, so I'm not the only one. But if you don't have a regular schedule of sorts, you are going to get a different face coming through that door every day. And that's very confusing to some people. It's hard enough having people come into your home sometimes, much less a quote unquote stranger every single time, because you're trying to piecemeal, like Kelly said, this person on this Tuesday and this person this Thursday, where if there's more of a regular routine, you're going to more often than not get the same person, then you can start building a relationship and trust, and it's just a happier situation all the way around. Any other questions? Okay, this lady here.
I have a question, which is a location of where I am. I live in Hercules, and I come all the way out here to get all this wonderful, great news. And a lot of these services are East County, not West County. And if they are West County, I'm going downtown Richmond, which I will not go, and some other locations in West County, which I will not go, but they don't seem to service the Pinole Hercules area. So do you have any suggestions?
And is there a specific services that we're thinking of right now? Any ideas, ladies?
Excuse me, was she saying, are any of these services in East and West County was the
Right.
question? Yes, well, we are. We cover every part of East County, West County, and Central County, and so we are available. That booklet I told you about, I wish I would have some today. I can get them for you. You can look up your area and see what is available there. And also, we recommend, once you look it up, still call us, because we may be familiar with something else in the fee-for-service world that you are able to afford. Most of the things in there are not fee-for-service.
Awesome.
And-
And choice.
Yeah, we Choice and Aging serves West Contra Costa County as well. I will say that the only other licensed adult day health care program that was in West County closed their doors. So there are folks coming from West Contra Costa to our Pleasant Hill location, and we arrange for transportation, so it's just one ride as opposed to transfer trips with paratransit. So we can accommodate, but it's a bit of a trip.
You covered, Kelly.
And I was just going to recommend maybe going to the local senior center in Hercules, and also, as Debbie had mentioned, the area agency on aging. Most communities have a list of resources for your particular area, so I would try some of those resources as well.
Okay. And I'm going to keep us on time. If there's one more question. Okay, one more question. And do you have a question? No. Okay. Hang on one sec. And then we'll hand out the raffles.
Would Debbie please say her www again?
Well, we're going to send it out on the email if that helps. The master plan.
Sorry, the master plan for aging is MPA, as in Master Plan for Aging, .aging.ca.gov. And you know how to find me, Bruce.
It came up in a simple search on Google for me when I entered in Master Plan for Aging, so that's really all you need to know, probably.
I just wanted to say, Katie Cole, I know, will go to many different homes all over the county and outside of the county to do a walkthrough analysis, a universal design walkthrough analysis for somebody's home, so you can get a list of things that you might be able to start doing on your own.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Awesome questions, by the way. Okay. Where's our raffle? Oh, thank you. You're so efficient. Okie dokie. We've got a lot of raffle prizes. It's like amazing. So, this is the fun part. Will you do the honors? Okay, you can read it.
466692.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we've got, I don't know how to tell you which one to choose from. Derek, you've got one, come on up. Derek with Clar's Auction Gallery has a wonderful prize, and do you want to give it to Sally? Congratulations. And we've got some bonus gifts. Are these from you, Candace? We've got one of our attendees brought raffle prizes for you guys. That is so cute. $50 Visa card. They don't mess around. Okay, next winner, and then I'll just have you select one and pass it out, depending on.
Okay, the next winner is 466703.
703 in the back. All right, we're going to mix this up here. We've got, what's the last three of that one?
627.
Last three numbers are 627. Wow. Okay, we'll bring your gift out. And I think we have, do we have one more? My gosh. It's like Christmas and Hanukkah all in one. Okay.
Last three. Okay, the last three digits are 689.
689.
Oh,
B. Winter. And one more. Right there. Last one. Wow.
the last three digits, 675.
675, and I see a bottle of adult beverage in that bucket. So, thank you, Candace Bianchi. A big round of applause for these amazing panelists today. We so appreciate their time. And by the way, Elaine mentioned transportation. November, we have a whole seminar on driving after 80. And we have the CHP coming and all sorts of interesting people. So that'll be fun too. So in the meantime, thank you for coming. Newbies, I hope you come back and visit us again. It will be, very important announcement. Next month, it is not the first Wednesday of the month because I will be on vacation. It will be the 16th. So if you show up the first Wednesday, you're going to be here all by yourself. So August 16th is the next one. We look forward to seeing you. And in the meantime, be well and have a beautiful day.
Dayna, excuse me, Dayna, I just got an idea. If you have any tickets left, if anybody would like one of these weather emergency radios, I'm happy to give it to you on behalf of my organization. If you want to draw a card.
Right, we'll draw one more ticket.
That's great.
Wow.
And the winner for the radio is 643.
Oh, she said
She wanted that. All right, thank you, Elaine.